A struggling Nigerian fashion designer, a disgraced Korean celebrity, and a contract marriage born from desperation. When fake love becomes real, will they risk everything to defy their worlds? Sit tight, because this story will take you on an unforgettable ride of passion, redemption, and the courage to choose love over everything. Zainab had come to Korea chasing a dream. Born in Lagos, she'd grown up sketching clothes in the margins of her school notebooks, dreaming of runways and fashion houses. When she got accepted to study fashion design in Seoul 5 years ago, her family sacrificed everything to send her. Her father sold his taxi, her mother borrowed from relatives. Zainab promised she'd make them proud. But Korea was harder than she imagined. As a black woman in the fashion industry, doors didn't open easily. Some designers wouldn't hire her. Others fetishized her, wanting only exotic designs. Zainab refused to be a token. She worked part-time jobs, created her own small fashion line, and slowly built a reputation among Seoul's underground fashion scene. Then disaster struck. Her father's small import business in Lagos collapsed after a partner embezzled funds. The family lost everything. Her younger siblings had to drop out of school. Her mother's health deteriorated from stress. Zainab's father called her, voice-breaking, "We need 50 million won. The creditors are threatening to take our house." "I know it's too much to ask." Zainab couldn't let her family lose everything. But 50 million won? She'd need years to save that much. Desperation consumed her. She worked 3 jobs, barely slept, but it wasn't enough. That's when she met Min-suk. Lee Min-suk had once been Korea's golden boy, an idol, actor, and model whose face was on every billboard. But 6 months ago, a scandal destroyed him. Photos surfaced of him at a club with several women, drinking heavily. His agency dropped him. Brands canceled contracts. His family, who'd always disapproved of his entertainment career, saw it as proof he'd wasted his life. Min-suk's father was a respected judge, his older brother a prosecutor, his mother from old soul money. They'd wanted Min-suk to be a lawyer. Instead, he'd chosen entertainment, and they'd never forgiven him. Now, with his career in ruins, they saw him as the family disgrace. Min-suk had a plan to salvage his reputation, a redemption arc. If he could present himself as a reformed man in a stable, serious relationship, his agency might take him back. But every Korean woman he approached was scared of the scandal. He needed someone outside that world. Someone who wouldn't be intimidated by Korean media. He found Zainab at a fashion show where she was showcasing her designs. He'd come incognito, trying to stay out of the public eye. Her collection caught his attention, bold, beautiful, unapologetically African-inspired yet perfectly tailored for Korean fashion sensibilities. After the show, he approached her with a proposition. "I know this sounds crazy," Min-suk said, sitting across from her at a quiet cafe. "But I need a girlfriend. Publicly. And I'm willing to pay 50 million won." Zainab stared at him. "You're the disgraced idol. I prefer temporarily unemployed entertainer." He didn't smile. "I need to rehabilitate my image. My agency says if I can prove I've changed, that I'm in a stable relationship, living responsibly, they'll consider taking me back. But it has to look real. Minimum 6 months." "Why me?" "Because you're not part of the Korean entertainment world. You won't be intimidated by the media attention. And honestly," he looked at her designs displayed on her phone, "you're talented enough that this could help your career too. Date me publicly, get media attention, and suddenly Korean fashion houses will notice you." Zainab's heart raced. 50 million won. Her family's house. Her siblings' education. Her mother's health care. "It's just pretend," she asked carefully. "Just pretend. We appear together publicly, post on social media, attend events. After 6 months, we'll have a quiet, mature breakup. You get your money. I get my career back." Zainab should have said no. But the image of her father's broken voice on the phone haunted her. "Okay," she whispered. "But I have rules." The arrangement began simply. Min-suk introduced her as his girlfriend at a carefully planned press conference. The media exploded. Reformed idol dating fashion designer. Lee Min-suk's mysterious foreign girlfriend. The attention was overwhelming. Minsuk's family was horrified. His mother called him immediately. A Nigerian woman? Have you completely lost your mind? His father refused to even acknowledge it. His older brother, Hyunwoo, laughed openly. You couldn't even find a proper Korean woman to fake date? This is your big redemption plan. But Minsuk stood firm. She's a brilliant designer. She's kind. And she's giving me a chance when no one else would. The truth was, Minsuk had been surprised by Zainab. He'd expected someone eager for fame, willing to play along for money. Instead, she was private, dignified, and genuinely passionate about her work. She didn't care about his celebrity. She attended events because she'd promised, but she never acted starstruck. It was refreshing. Zainab found herself equally surprised. Minsuk wasn't the arrogant celebrity she'd assumed. He was thoughtful, self-aware about his mistakes, and genuinely trying to rebuild his life. He attended her small fashion shows, helped her carry fabric, and asked thoughtful questions about Nigerian fashion influences. Why do you use these patterns? He asked one evening, examining one of her designs. It's Ankara fabric. From West Africa. I want to show that African fashion can exist in Korean spaces without being exotic costume. It's just fashion. Minsuk nodded slowly. You're braver than me. You're trying to change an industry. I just wanted to be famous. You're changing too, Zainab said softly. That takes courage. Something shifted between them. 2 months into the contract, Zainab's mother called with terrible news. Her father had collapsed, stress-induced heart attack. He was stable, but the medical bills in Lagos were mounting. Zainab sent money immediately, but it wasn't enough. She broke down that night, alone in her tiny apartment. She'd been so focused on the contract, the pretense, that she'd forgotten the real reason she'd agreed. Her family was suffering. Minsuk found her the next morning. She'd called in sick to their scheduled appearance, and he'd come to check on her. When he saw her tear-stained face, he didn't hesitate. He pulled her into his arms. Tell me what's wrong. And she did. Everything. Her father's heart attack, her family's debt, her fear that even 50 million won wouldn't be enough. Minsuk was quiet for a long moment. Then, I'll increase the payment. 70 million won. And I'll cover your father's medical bills. You can't. Yes, I can. His voice was firm. Zainab, you've helped me more than you know. Let me help you. She looked at him, and for the first time, saw past the contract. This wasn't about business anymore. He cared. Why are you doing this? She whispered. Because somewhere along the way, this stopped being pretend for me. The confession hung in the air between them. Zainab's heart raced. She'd been fighting her feelings for weeks, reminding herself this was temporary. But now, hearing his words, she couldn't deny it anymore. Minsuk. You don't have to say anything, he said quickly. I know this wasn't the deal. I just needed you to know. Before she could respond, her phone rang. Her sister from Lagos, crying. Their father had taken a turn for the worse. Minsuk didn't hesitate. He bought plane tickets for both of them to Lagos that night. When Zainab protested, you can't leave, the media will. I don't care about the media. Your family needs you. And you need support. The flight to Lagos was quiet. Zainab was terrified. Minsuk held her hand the entire time, not speaking, just present. When they arrived at the hospital in Lagos, Zainab's family was shocked to see the Korean man with their daughter. Her mother, despite her worry, studied Minsuk carefully. Her younger siblings whispered in Yoruba, asking if this was the famous boyfriend they'd seen online. Minsuk bowed to her parents, a proper Korean bow, then spoke in broken English. I am Minsuk. I am Zainab's boyfriend. I am here to help. Her father, weak but conscious, studied the young man. You came all the way to Nigeria? Yes, sir. Why? Minsuk looked at Zainab, then back at her father. Because she is important to me. And family is important. Something passed between the two men. Understanding. Respect. The next few days were a blur. Zainab stayed by her father's side while Minsuk coordinated with hospitals, paid bills, and quietly handled logistics. He'd never been to Nigeria before, but he navigated it with surprising grace. He ate jollof rice with Zainab's siblings, attempted to learn Yoruba phrases, and sat with her mother, holding her hand when she cried. Zainab watched him with her family, and her heart broke open. This wasn't pretend. This couldn't be pretend. No one flew across the world, sat in a Nigerian hospital, learned to eat pounded yam, all for a contract. One night, when her father was finally stable and sleeping, Zainab found Minsuk outside the hospital, staring at the Lagos skyline. "Thank you," she said softly, sitting beside him. "You don't have to thank me." "Yes, I do." "You didn't have to come. You didn't have to care. But you did." Minsuk turned to look at her, and in the dim light, Zainab saw everything she needed to know in his eyes. "I care because I love you," he said simply. "I think I've loved you since that first fashion show when you didn't even know who I was. You looked at my designs, not my face. You saw effort, not fame. You've never once treated me like a celebrity or a scandal. You've just treated me like me." Tears slipped down Zainab's cheeks. "I love you too. I tried not to. This was supposed to be fake. But nothing about how I feel is fake anymore." Minsuk cupped her face gently. "Then let's stop pretending." He kissed her there, under the Lagos stars, and everything changed. When they returned to Korea, everything was different. They were no longer pretending. They were together, really together. But the challenges weren't over. Minsuk's family discovered the original contract. Hyunwoo, his brother, found documents and exposed everything publicly. The media went wild. Fake relationship exposed. Minsuk's redemption was a lie. Minsuk's agency dropped him again. Brands that had been considering him pulled out. His family demanded he end things with Zainab immediately. "You've embarrassed us enough," his mother said coldly. "End this charade." But Minsuk stood firm. "It started as a contract. But it's not anymore. I love her. And I'm not giving up on her because you can't see past her nationality." His father, the judge, spoke for the first time. "You would choose this woman over your family? Over your career? I would choose honesty over lies. And I choose Zainab. Every time." The media scrutiny was brutal. Zainab's fashion career took a hit. Brands dropped her, calling her an opportunist. She lost commissions. Her small boutique struggled. But Minsuk never wavered. He defended her publicly, wrote a long statement explaining everything, the original contract, how feelings developed, the truth about their relationship. "I made mistakes," he wrote. "But falling in love with Zainab wasn't one of them. She's taught me what integrity looks like. And if loving her costs me everything, then everything wasn't worth having." The tide began to turn. Some people criticized them. But others saw it differently. Here was a man choosing love over career. A woman who'd supported her family at personal cost. A relationship that had grown from honesty after starting in deception. Slowly, opportunities returned. A small Korean fashion house took a chance on Zainab. Minsuk got offered an acting role in an independent film. They weren't where they'd been before, but they were building something real. 6 months later, Minsuk took Zainab to Namsan Tower at sunset. "I know this hasn't been easy," he said, holding both her hands. "My family still doesn't approve. The media still gossips. Your career has struggled. But through all of it, you've been the most real, most beautiful thing in my life." He pulled out a small box. "I don't have my old wealth anymore. I can't promise you luxury. But I can promise you honesty, loyalty, and love that will never quit. Zainab, will you marry me? For real this time." Tears streamed down her face. "Yes. 1,000 times yes." They married in a small ceremony. Zainab's family flew from Lagos, and a few of Minsuk's friends attended. His parents didn't come, but his brother Hyunwoo surprised everyone by showing up. "You're an idiot," Hyunwoo told Minsuk. "But you're my brother. And she makes you happy. That counts for something." It was a small step, but it mattered. Years passed. Zainab's fashion line grew, slowly but steadily. She became known for bridging African and Korean fashion in authentic, beautiful ways. Minsuk rebuilt his career, not as an idol, but as a respected character actor. They weren't celebrities anymore. They were artists, partners, and eventually parents to a daughter they named Ada. Minsuk's parents eventually came around. It took time, but when they met their granddaughter, something softened. His mother held Ada and whispered, "She's beautiful." "She is," Minsuk said. just like her mother. Zainab watched from the doorway, heartful. They'd lost so much fame, wealth, approval. But they'd gained everything that mattered. Their story wasn't perfect. It was messy, complicated, born from desperation and deception. But it was real. And in the end, that was all that mattered. As they stood together, watching the Seoul sunset with their daughter between them, Min-suk turned to Zainab. Do you ever regret it? The contract, the scandal, everything we lost. Zainab smiled, taking his hand. Not even for a second. Because it led me to you. And in that moment, surrounded by love they'd fought for and earned, they knew they'd made the right choice. Sometimes the best love stories don't start with fate. Sometimes they start with a contract, a desperate choice, and two people brave enough to turn pretend into forever. If you found this story of redemption, courage, and unexpected love compelling, please like, share, comment, and subscribe for more incredible tales of transformation.